of 13 or 14, but that is still pretty mild for the time of year. A mild night to come then on Saturday night. Again, we are likely to see some mist and fog patches forming, particularly over central and eastern England, and it is the time of year where that fog can take quite a long time to clear. During Sunday, some rain will trickle into westernmost parts of Northern Ireland, but otherwise it's dry, some sunny spells. Again, in the sunshine, it really will feel quite mild, but some places may just stay a little misty and murky, which will keep the temperatures in the low teens, but with some brightness, temperatures again well above average, getting into the high teens.
We are GB News.
And we'd like to say thank you
to each and every one of you
for helping our great nation
find its voice.
We're absolutely everywhere.
Across England, Scotland, Wales
and Northern Ireland. On TV,
on radio and online.
We're proud to be
the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello, I'm Michelle Dewberry and you can join me every weekday 6 till 7 on Jubes and Kerr. Me and my panel will get stuck right into the day's events, and I can tell you, in fact, I can warn you, expect some robust debates, some strong opinions and perspectives from both sides of the fence. It's about you at home as well. I love to read out all of your comments, or at least as many as I can. So join me, Michelle Dewberry, Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on Jubes and Kerr.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch. You've been cancelled. Join the club. Oh my goodness me. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
On the Mark Steyn Show, we cover the stories a lot of people are scared even to mention. The stuff that really matters with some of the world's biggest thinkers.
Now is his opportunity to kind of take the steering wheel of history.
Break away from the flock at 8 o'clock on GB News with the Mark Steyn Show.
Hello, I'm Esther McVeigh.
And I'm Philip Davis.
Whether you're watching or listening on TV, online or on radio, we handpick the latest stories, debates and expert opinions for your weekend. So whether that's politics, news or showbiz, we've got it covered.
Join us every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock on GB News.
Hello, I'm Alastair Stewart, and I'd invite you to join me at noon on Saturdays and Sundays for Alastair Stewart and Friends. I've been in this business for over 40 years. Now, here at GB News, I've never been happier. I get to choose the big stories that really interest me. We hear what you have to say, and you hear what I have to say. I really hope you can join me, noon on Saturdays and Sundays.
I'm Mark Dolan. Join me at 11 on GB News for Headliners, in which I'll be joined by two of the UK's top comedians discussing tomorrow's papers. If it's an important story, we'll cover it, but we'll have some fun along the way. Headliners, the late night paper review that won't send you to sleep like the others will. 7 nights a week at 11 p.m. on GB News.
Hi there, it's Stephen and Anne.
At breakfast from 6 a.m, you'll always be caught up with everything you need to know, the latest headlines, opinions and debates.
We'll bring you the good news and the bad, but most of all, we're here for you.
Remember, send in your views and let us know what you would like us to talk about.
That's because we're your news channel. And every morning at 6 a.m, it's breakfast on GB News.
A very good evening, everybody. It's 7 o'clock, and that means just one thing. It's time for Friday Night Feast. Yes, ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between, the working week is almost over. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the next 2 hours. We've got the punchiest topics and even better guests. The first hour is an Armistice Day special. I'll give my views on how we treat our veterans compared with how we treat illegal immigrants, amongst other people as well. And in our big debate, we'll ask whether people should be made to feel guilty if they don't wear a poppy. Little bit of poppy pressure, OK? We're going to bring home a rescue dog in our popular feature Dog of the Week. Tonight, I'll ask if you can find a place in your heart for the gorgeous Cora. Come on, people. Anyway, I've also got some interesting information for you that you won't see on the BBC. Was the nurses' strike actually based on lies? Was it a rigged vote? There's the story of the woman who became friends with a seagull only for it to trash her home and bite her nose off. And you don't want to miss this week's Challenge Christie's, although my producers are refusing to tell me what the challenge is. Apparently everybody knows what it is apart from me. Apparently it's happening live in the studio. I am not reassured by the amount of cackling I'm hearing in my ear now because they know what it is and I don't. Apparently it's an absolute cracker. That's all to come between now and 9 o'clock. But first, it's the news headlines brought to you this evening by the woman who used to be a producer on this show but decided that we weren't good enough for her, so she just threw us all under the bus and went to present the bulletins. It's Tatiana Sanchez.
I'm starting to think you missed me, Patrick. This is the latest from the GB newsroom. Residents in Ukraine have been celebrating in the key city of Kherson after Putin's soldiers were ordered to retreat. It was a city that was right on the front lines since the invasion began back in February. Crowds cheered and chanted glory to the Ukrainian armed forces as President Zelensky called it an historic day. It comes after a main bridge over the Dnipro River on the west of the city was destroyed before Russian forces moved out. UK authorities and coastguards are preparing for a significant surge in small boats crossing the English Channel this weekend. Bad weather has stopped migrants from illegally reaching the coast for almost a fortnight. But GB News understands, with the weather expected to improve, crime groups from Albania are planning a mass launch of small boats from French beaches from tomorrow. It would be the first large-scale arrival since the end of last month, when just over 14,000 people arrived in 32 small boats. Chancellor Jeremy Hunt is warning there's a tough road ahead after new data shows the UK economy shrank between July and September. It contracted by 0.2% during the 3 months as the cost of living crisis deepened. Hunt says difficult decisions will be needed to restore confidence and economic stability, but the British economy remains resilient. Last week, the Bank of England forecast a 2-year recession, which would be the longest on record. US President Joe Biden says the war in Ukraine has made it more urgent than ever to double down on climate commitments. Speaking at the COP27 climate summit in Egypt, Biden says he's treating the climate crisis with urgency, adding the US will meet emission reduction targets by 2030. He's called on all countries to act faster on climate change.
Climate crisis is about human security, economic security, environmental security, national security, and the very life of the planet. The United States of America will meet our emissions targets by 2030.
The UK marked Armistice Day with a 2-minute silence this morning. Bells rang out across the country, including the recently restored Big Ben in London, ahead the 2-minute silence to remember the war dead. A service was held at the National Memorial Arboretum in Staffordshire to pay tribute to all those who've served their country. TV, online and DAB+ radio. This is GB News. Now it's back to the Friday Night Feast.
Yes, welcome back, everybody. This is Friday Night Feast. Now, we normally like to keep it light, OK? It's the end of the working week. But I just wanted to start with something a little bit more serious this evening, because today is Armistice Day. And I can't help but wonder, if the people who laid down their lives for this country could see it now, would they think it had all been worth fighting for? Every single year, there appears to be some big national debate as to whether or not our greatest ever leader, Winston Churchill, was a hero or a villain. Hero. Simple. We actually spend more time talking about Churchill's moral compass than Hitler's, which I find a bit weird. I wonder what people who fought and died for this country would make of the fact that we have veterans sleeping rough on the streets but illegal immigrants in 4-star hotels. You've got more chance of being looked after in this nation if you pay a people smuggler a few grand, get in a small boat, chuck your passport in the channel, lie about your age and enter Britain illegally than you do if you serve Queen, now King and country in active service, but are struggling with PTSD or to adjust to normal civilian life. I wonder what they'd make of the fact that some of those sent to fight in my opinion, an illegal war by Tony Blair, who had their legs blown off by an IED, aren't able to get a roof over their heads or mental health care. But people who leave this country to go and wage jihad with Islamic State in Syria, for example, can come back to Britain and live in a council house. In fact, I wonder what they think about the fact that we allowed a radical Islamist hate preacher to plan a protest through the town of Wootton Bassett, where the coffins of fallen heroes pass through on their way to their final resting place. Anjem Choudhury, who wants to impose Sharia law in the UK, is free to walk the streets. I wonder what they'd make of lawyers putting more time and energy into making sure ISIS bride Shamima Begum was allowed to return back home than making sure local councils enforce the military covenant, the Armed Forces Covenant, which is designed to give veterans priority social housing and mental health care. I wonder what they think when they see a bunch of school children burning the Union flag outside an inner-city London school, or that many young people now think the older generation, especially those who proudly wave that Union flag, are probably racist, backward gammons. Or what about when they see us considering paying billions of pounds of your money, taxpayers' money, to say sorry for having an industrial revolution, or that young boys and girls are being subjected to sexualised drag shows in schools and doctors can mutilate their genitals because they feel as though they might have been born into the wrong body? What about when they see police officers asking eco-nutters led by some weird cult leader if they'd like a cup of tea and biscuits when they glue themselves to a road and stop someone going to a relative's funeral? I wonder what they'd make of wokeism. I wonder what those people who fought and died for our freedoms would have made of a government locking people down several times for a virus that, in my view, was probably man-made in a laboratory in China, with a low death rate and people being told that they would lose their jobs if they didn't get a vaccine that, frankly, seemed to make a pretty minimal difference anyway. On Armistice Day, we bow our heads and we fall silent and we remember the fallen. But we should also think about veterans who are still alive today and how we treat them. I can't help but feel that illegal immigrants, terrorists, environmental extremists, spoilt brats, quack scientists are all treated much better right now than both ordinary patriotic British people and, more importantly, our veterans. And that is not what people fought and died for. Let's get more from this now, from two men who know all about how we treat our veterans. I'm joined by both Lieutenant General Jonathan Riley and also Gary Weaving, who is the founder and CEO of Forgotten Veterans, which is a charity that supports former members of our armed forces. Gary, I'll start with you, please. How do you think, on this day, it's Armistice Day, how do you feel about the way that we treat veterans in this country and our priorities as a nation?
Oh, hi, Patrick. Thanks for inviting me on the show. Let me say, just to begin with, I went to fight in operations and in peacekeeping conflicts to actually give these people the freedoms and the values that we do get in the West. And I have a great amount of empathy and first-hand experience to what they've actually seen and been through. But the problem we're now facing is they seem determined to come to these shores, and it seems to be at the cost of some of my community. I have veterans that we have to feed daily, that have not been housed, that have been struggling since they've come out due to mental health, due to injury, due to addiction, that would quite frankly love to be put into a Holiday Inn and fed 3 times a day. And I am starting to question that, are we getting the order of priority wrong in this instance? And if we're not looking after the very, very people that gave us these freedoms and rights that we have in this country as a priority, that we are going wrong. And we're really sending a negative message to the veteran community that I serve.
Lieutenant General Jonathan Riley, I'll bring you in now. Can you understand a growing sense of public dissatisfaction, maybe when it comes to our nation's priorities?
Yeah, well, it's taken long enough, hasn't it? It's been a source of extreme irritation, making me angry for many years. And to go back to your question about what the veterans of the two world wars might have thought. Well, my father fought in the Second World War, both my grandfathers in the First World War, and I know what they would have told you because I heard them say it, and they would have said it wasn't for this. It really wasn't. And more recently, we fought wars and campaigns. Our servicemen and women gave their lives and limbs to make overseas countries better places. And they didn't do that so that the inhabitants could run away and come here. They did it so the inhabitants could make something of those countries, and that's what they should be doing. And the fact that they're being allowed to come here speaks to both what both of you just talked about, which is the prioritization of those people who are coming here as against those who serve their country. And there are two big issues for me, which, and I'll pause before I go into them. One is homelessness, often the result of mental health, and the other is the prosecution of veterans, particularly in Northern Ireland.
That's a good one that I missed off my list. I will come back to you on both of those. Gary, I'll bring you back in now. Now, Gary, you do a lot of work, a huge amount of work. You're on call, really, when it comes to helping get veterans off the streets. But there is supposed to be something in place, and this comes back to our priorities, doesn't it? There's supposed to be this Armed Forces Covenant, the military covenant, which, as I understand it, Gary, is designed to help give veterans priority housing and mental health care. Oh, no, we've lost Gary. OK, I'll just come back to you then, Jonathan. Sorry. Just on what you were saying there, actually, about the historic prosecution, actually, of some of our veterans. That's another way, isn't it, in which we let our veterans down?
Well, indeed, it seems all right for Blair to have given carte blanche to convicted murderers to roam around the streets, do what they like, without any fear of prosecution. But if you are a veteran involved in some incident maybe 30, 40 years ago that you can barely remember, then you're up for interview by the police. And if you say the wrong thing, before you know it, you'll find yourself in court. And we've just heard that the prosecutions are about to recommence. Based on what happened last time, with cases being chucked out, I wonder how far they'll get. But the fact is, should this be happening at all?
No, it shouldn't. It shouldn't. It's not fair that someone, especially someone who, for example, maybe this was years ago, decades ago, gets a knock on the door one day, you know, what were you doing on this specific date at this specific time in this specific incident? I've spoken to a few people. In fact, Dennis Hutchins was one of them. Unfortunately, he's passed away now. Passed away, as I understand it, in a hospital bed in Northern Ireland with no family around him as a result of the fact that he was being dragged back yet again for another ridiculous trial. But, Gary, you are back now. Sorry, we lost you there for a second. Talk to me about maybe the ways that our Armed Forces Covenant, our military covenant, is letting down veterans, because it is supposed to be giving them priority, isn't it? And actually, it's pretty clearly not in some cases.
Yes, so I actually left the forces in 2010 and sadly couldn't return to my own borough where I lived because it was pre-Armed Forces Covenant. Then the Armed Forces Covenant was brought in to protect us, but it is still very, very wishy-washy. I have running battles with housing directors across many different counties across the country that are interpreting the Armed Forces Covenant to what they think, and there is no actual solid hardline rules to what is acceptable and what isn't. Only recently I had a serving soldier come to me in a desperate state that was getting out in 2 months and was already living in an unmodified transit. That young soldier served 12 years and multiple conflicts and operations. And the best we could offer him was the back of a transit in his father's garden. It's shocking and it's not right. I'm lucky to live in Portsmouth City, and they are a shining example of actually how the Armed Forces Covenant should be adhered to. Portsmouth City is 6 square miles and has a population of 22,000 veterans by itself, and it has very limited housing stock and space. But if they are looking after the communities most vulnerable, and they are leading the way in housing them, whether it be in projects, whether it be in permanent housing, or whether it be in services like mine, why cannot other cities in the country that have much more amenities, much more space, also not do the same? It's not all negative. I was privy to overhearing a conversation in my community recently where they were actually discussing getting in dinghies and going out into the Solent, throwing their passports into the Solent and coming back and saying, now do we get the same justice? Now do we get the same service as everybody else?
Yeah, it's shocking.
We do need to help immigrants. We do. But we are being taken advantage of, and that is very, very clear. And
it is.
There must be.
I'm going to have to cut in, Gary. I'm afraid. Look, that was. I really appreciate it. I was hanging off every word of that, and I'm very sorry to have to cut in because I will have to talk to you again about this very regularly. But look, both of you, thank you so much. I really appreciate that, I really appreciate both of your inputs and both of your services as well. That was Lieutenant General Jonathan Riley and also Gary Weaving as well, who's the founder and CEO of Forgotten Veterans. Yeah, it's good stuff. OK. Well, there we are. And I believe as well, just a little one, if you do want to donate as well, Forgotten Veterans are taking donations, so just Google Forgotten Veterans and I'm sure that'll come up and you can give them a bit of cash if you feel that way inclined. Well, with me in the studio tonight, it's not all serious, although we are starting pretty heavy, I must say. It's comedian, it's the incredibly funny Greg Burns. Greg, thank you very much. Back for more. You were here a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. Nice to see you again.
Fantastic. We've roped you back in.
Yep.
And, of course, it's the housewife's favourite. It's Aidan McGee. Hey, there he is.
Good to see you. I'm back as well, but I actually never left. Yeah, and also, I'm a favourite of Housewives as well, thank you very much.
Are you? Yes, indeed. OK, well, look, OK, the show does get lighter, but I'll just stop with you. You've got a poppy on.
Yep.
You've not.
No, I've just forgot mine. I've actually got about 4 different poppies on about 4 different garments. I haven't worn this one out for a while, so I just forgot to put it on, but I will address that at the next break.
You will indeed. No, we're only pulling your leg. But seriously, do you think we've got our priorities a bit skewed in this country at the moment?
Well, in terms of do we treat veterans well enough?
Yeah, because there obviously is housing, there obviously is the funding there to have pretty much every single homeless military veteran in some form of accommodation.
Yeah.
And we are now actively choosing not to do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that is baffling. I don't know if a reason has been given. I mean, I certainly don't think that anybody is ever going to say that we're doing too much and that, like, OK, we get it, you fought for us, you served for us, you know, that thank you, but that's it. But I think, obviously, we could do more. I don't think we could be... I mean, the very fact... Do you know what really struck me there, just as you were saying, the very fact that charity's called Forgotten Veterans.
Yeah.
Isn't that heartbreaking?
It is.
Just that very... that very phrase. And you do... I was... honoured enough to go to Afghanistan to do some shows for the troops. And it's something that really, I can't tell you what that... I was only there 3 days.
Yeah.
But just the journey there, being amongst them, just seeing what it's like for soldiers in Brize Norton waiting to go and what they're going through and what they go through there and all those... I still today follow some on Twitter, but I remember months later just... You know, seeing that they're still there in that camp and at Christmas time and what they go through and then knowing what they're coming... But it's also knowing then what they're coming back to and their uncertainty.
And they might not be supported. And Aidan, I'll kind of return to where I started with this, which is that do you think that some of those people who laid down their lives, made the ultimate sacrifice to this country, will be proud of what they see before them today?
No, certainly not. I really don't. I think disgusting is the word for it. I mean, I did a job up in my Manchester days up in Handforth, Cheshire. I went to Handforth, Conservative Club or Working Man's Club, maybe, something like that. I did a shoot there. I turned up and expecting there to be an open space, but actually filming a documentary, like a drama series maybe, which later appeared somewhere on air, of the experience of veterans after they've left service and the impact of PTSD. And what really chimed with me was when I actually watched it being filmed and we saw the veteran walking, this soldier walking through, former soldier, and even it's part of the script, it wasn't real, but it was still kind of based on real, true experience. And it was the change in the cash register which made him feel like there was shrapnel in his brain. You know, it really, I've never forgotten that.
No.
You can guarantee that's come from... They haven't just made that up.
No, it's based on true recollections. But it really, for somebody who's not really engaged with service and military activity and stuff like that, it really did chime with me, I have to say.
I think officially it's like 10% of veterans of PTSD, but
it must
be. I would say it must be way more.
I mean, I've been to Headley Court as well, down in Surrey, where it wasn't just veterans; it was veterans who actually suffered physical injuries. You're talking about people who lost limbs in fighting, and that was quite well moneyed at the time. But I don't know what that situation.
Well,
is.
exactly.
It's closed down.
Look, I get very, very wound up about all of this, in case you couldn't tell, and I just can't help but think that our priorities are all wrong. When I look at what's going on in the Channel at the minute, I think that we're being taken for an absolute ride. And there is space in hotels, there is accommodation, and there clearly is taxpayers' money. Roughly speaking, between £6 and £7 million a day goes to putting people in hotels who've just arrived here across the Channel.
Actually, that situation is the way it is because successive governments are perfectly happy with that to happen. Now in the social media era, we can just see it a bit more. It's a bit more visible.
Well, this is it. But my point here is that I think, that's a choice. We've got homeless military veterans, and we are now unequivocally deciding actively as a nation not to treat them properly, and I think that is shocking. And on today of all days, of course, Armistice Day, I wanted to raise that with you. But what do you think about the way that we treat our veterans? Email in gbviews@gbnews.uk, tweet us at gbnews, and if you're very lucky, I might read out one or two of your messages. The show does get lighter, don't get me wrong, ladies and gentlemen, but I thought it was poignant to actually do that at this particular time and cover that topic, and we're kind of sticking with it for a little bit because after the break it's our big debate, and after Armed Forces Minister James Heappey said that people shouldn't be pressured into wearing a poppy, I asked the great British public what they thought about it.
Well, it's very important because my relatives, my granddad and a lot of people took part in this war.
It's very much useful, and to give my thanks to everyone who died in the war, because without them we wouldn't be here today.
Do you think now that we've had this chat you might go and get a poppy?
Yeah, why not?
No pressure. I think public unity is so evident there doesn't need to be pressure. It's a democracy. Everybody is welcome to their opinion. I think as long as they equally respect those that do wish to wear them.
I distribute poppies. I sell them, and I've tended to find that people don't tend to buy them anymore.
Did you buy them, or did you just sneak it back out?
No, I bought mine. Yeah. Okay. So in my local pub and that, I go down there, there's quite a few of the local boys all down there. They all bought poppies. The pub was absolutely packed, so I thought I'll go around with the poppy. Nobody bought any.
Really?
No.
I think it has to be people's individual choice.
So they shouldn't feel pressurised into wearing one?
I have to say, if somebody ordered me to wear a poppy, then I would deliberately not.
Hello there, it's Eamon Holmes here from Breakfast on GB News. We're not just on your television and your screens,
We're on DAB plus digital radio, so you can listen to your favourite shows on the move.
If you've not yet listened to GB News Radio, it's very simple. We're on your radio player and tune-in apps, on your smart speaker, phone or tablet, or online at gbnews.uk.
Take us with you wherever you go. GB News Radio.
You never have to miss a moment of the People's Channel.
Hello, I'm Simon Evans. Join me on GB News for Headliners at 11 p.m, where I'll be joined by two of the country's top comedians as we take a look at tomorrow's newspapers tonight. If it's a big story, we'll be covering it, I guarantee, but we'll also have some fun along the way. That's GB News Headliners at 11 p.m. We won't put you to sleep, unlike some of the other paper review shows out there. So join us, 11 p.m, 7 nights a week.
I'm Mark White. As GB News Home and Security Editor, I cover those key issues that are so important to you. Our authorities, our communities doing all they can to combat violent crime. With the public services under unbearable strain, why are we still failing to control our borders? Defence, the first priority of any government, has been continually hollowed out. Can we trust our politicians to protect the armed forces? Join me, Mark White, on GB News.
Monday to Thursday on GB News, it's Bev Turner Today from 10 a.m. There's never been a more interesting but also critical time in British politics. and I can't wait to bring you the biggest stories of the day with the best factual accuracy and also a few of my own opinions thrown in. We'll engage in passionate but always polite debate with your thoughts and opinions at the centre of it all. Monday to Thursday, 10 till 12 on TV, on radio and online.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Monday to Thursday nights on GB News. At 6, it's Dubes & Co. 7 o'clock, Farage. At 8, join Mark Stein. And at 9, Dan Wootton Tonight, followed by Headliners. On TV, radio and online. This is GB News.
On the Mark Stein Show, we cover the stories a lot of people are scared even to mention. The stuff that really matters with some of the world's biggest thinkers.
Now is his opportunity to kind of take the steering wheel of history.
Break away from the flop at 8 o'clock on GB News with the Mark Stein Show.
We are GB News.
And we'd like to say thank you
to each and every one of you
for helping our great nation
find its voice.
We're absolutely everywhere.
Across England, Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland.
On TV,
on radio
and online.
We're proud to be
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody, to Friday Night Feast. Now, Armed Forces Minister James Heappey says that people should not be shamed into wearing a poppy in the lead-up to Remembrance Sunday. Heappey claims that no one should be forced to wear a poppy because Twitter went nuts if you didn't. Is he right, though? Should people wear a poppy to show their support for people who have died or suffered life-changing injuries while fighting for their country? Or should we be free to make our own decision and not be made to feel guilty if we don't buy a poppy? Just quickly, Aidan McGee, who's my panellist here, was not previously wearing a poppy, heard us talking about it and has now been pressured into wearing it.
I wasn't pressured. I just felt it was the right thing to do.
OK, good, yeah, that's fine. We did hold a gun to his head, though. But, anyway, but I'm joined now by two former army officers with different views on this matter, Henry Bolton and Colonel Richard Kemp. Thank you very much. Right, there we go. Colonel Richard, I'll start with you. Both of you poppied up to the max. You'd love to see it. Colonel Richard, I'll start with you. Should we have a little bit of gentle nudge, a little bit of pressure to people to make them wear a poppy?
No, certainly not. It's not a fashion statement or a virtue signal. You wear a poppy because it's effectively a receipt for contributing to the British Legion, which supports our servicemen and families of servicemen who are in difficulties. That's the primary objective of the poppy. And of course, wearing it is also a symbol of respect for and commemoration for what these men and women who fought in various wars on behalf of our country have done. And so it's right that you should wear it if you choose to, but you should not be under pressure to do so. And I think, in fact, it does undermine the respect aspect of it if you feel obliged to do so, if you want to show off that you're wearing a poppy, because that's not what it's about. It's not about showing that you are a supporter of the war dead. It's much more of a personal idea, in my opinion.
It's something a bit deeper. I do get that. Henry Bolton, I'll throw it your way now, because there's a lot of virtue signalling about in society now. I mean, there's the old rainbow flag that seems to be absolutely everywhere, for example. A lot of people feel quite pressured to get involved with that. I mean, why shouldn't people be a bit pressured maybe to wear the poppy as well?
Well, I think, Patrick, the thing is that many people have been brainwashed almost. I mean, I know school children around where I live have been to believe that actually the poppy glorifies war. But as Colonel Richard Kemp has just said, it doesn't. It's effectively a receipt for your donations to the Royal British Legion. The Royal British Legion does incredibly good work looking after former servicemen and women who have now fallen on hard times or are suffering due to injury or mental health issues. And so, you know, the poppy is an intrinsically charitable thing that marks the respect that we have for people who have made a huge sacrifice, mental health, injury or death, in standing firm, standing up and saying, you will not pass. And they've protected us. They have secured our future and our freedom. World War I, World War II, yes, but in subsequent conflicts as well. And for those people who have served, I think it is a little bit of an insult for you to say you're glorifying war by wearing a poppy. Now, I totally agree with Colonel Kemp in that people shouldn't actually be pressured, ordered, or in some way cajoled into wearing a poppy. It does undermine its meaning. But I do believe that there are a lot of people out there who are trying to turn the whole reason for the poppy around. Maybe they're not aware of what it means. Maybe
well, that's a good point. And actually, Henry, that's a really good point for me to come in, because you said the words that maybe they're not aware. And Colonel Richard Kemp, I'll bring you back in on this now, because I went out and spoke to a few people before, and the younger people didn't really appear to know what the poppy was all about. And I thought, goodness gracious me, they're probably taught in schools that the British Empire was a terrible thing and all of the wrongs that Winston Churchill did. But they don't appear to be actually being taught about the symbolism of the poppy, what it really means, and maybe some of the heroism, really, of British war veterans. And are you concerned by that we're maybe losing a younger generation in that regard?
I haven't had that experience myself. I mean, you probably mix in a wider circle of people than I do. But for example, this morning at 11 o'clock, I was at a Armistice Day event at my old school. And I spoke to many of the current pupils who were well aware of what it all meant. And in fact, one young man was wearing his father, who had been killed serving in the forces, wearing his father's medals. And he certainly knew all about it, and many others did. So I'm sure there are plenty who don't. And it's a failing of our education system, if that's the case, and of course also a failing of their parents, because it's the sort of thing that parents should be teaching. But the thing that does concern me about many schools now is how much the Peace Pledge Union is infiltrating its way into schools and kind of cajoling them into buying white poppies. And the white poppy is something, I mean, they shouldn't be banned, but they shouldn't be promoted either, in my view, because it's a left-wing political symbol which aims to undermine our concept of remembrance. It's a propaganda thing only. It doesn't provide any support for the armed forces, obviously, because the people that are involved in it actually don't like the armed forces. So I think that's an area that schools should be much more careful of, allowing this sort of hard left propaganda.
I agree with you completely. I agree with you. Actually, it makes me quite angry. Henry Bolton, I can see you nodding your head there. The White Poppy Brigade, what do you make of all them?
Well, frankly, I think they're the ones that should be ashamed of themselves. I mean, they are showing total disrespect for the efforts and sacrifices that servicemen and women have made over the generations, and that have actually allowed them to complain and protest. Now, I have no objection to peaceful protest, but I do take offence, and it is real offence, when I see people there who are saying you're glorifying war, or that this whole thing about Britain and what Britain's done, it's all a load of rubbish. We should be ashamed of what we've done. No, absolutely not. There are men and women out there who haven't only safeguarded the interests of the United Kingdom and the citizens, our great citizens, but also our allies and friends abroad. And may that long be the case, that the British servicemen and women of this country, they are prepared to stand up, stand firm, and protect the values, stand by the values that we all believe in. And those people who want to undermine that, frankly, are being subversive. And as Richard Kemp says, absolutely, they are undermining the whole purpose of the poppy and the meaning behind it. It's deliberate, and they should be ashamed of themselves.
OK, Colonel Richard, I'll just give a final word to you on this now. I'll just kind of do a bit of a full circle. Do you think that a lot of people who fought and died in the two big wars, as it were, the two world wars, would be happy with what they see now in British society? And when we see, eco-zealots gluing themselves to things and police apparently letting them do that, the way that we appear to prioritise, perhaps anyway, the care of others, people maybe coming across the channel as opposed to our veterans on the streets. I don't know. How do you think they'd view that?
Well, of course, everyone, there's not a kind of a amorphous group that serve. Pretty much people from pretty much every background served with various different political opinions. I'm sure if you take, for example, the generation of the First World War and the Second World War, they would be horrified, even those with left-wing views, would be horrified at the way that some things are conducted in our country now, and some of the things you've mentioned. I've no doubt about that. They would be, and quite rightly too, and as I am, and as pretty much everyone else I've ever served with is. So I think but one thing we shouldn't forget, I think, in all this discussion is that the reason these people fought and died, they obviously fought for the soldiers left and right, and they fought for their families, they fought for their own lives, but they also fought for our way of life, which includes freedom, democracy, and the ability, freedom of speech included. So I think one has to be slightly cautious about saying that they would have disapproved of this or disapproved of that. I've no doubt many of them would, but they fought for our freedom, and that does include some of the things that we disagree with that many other people are doing.
It's a good point. It's a very good point. Look, both of you, thank you very much. Henry, you're going to have to be very quick, can we? Very quick.
I remember my great uncle, a great influence on me, the only officer in his battalion to survive through the First World War from the beginning to the end. And he was already in the 80s seriously worried, in the 1980s, not only in the 80s of his life, seriously worried about the way the country was going and the education. And that children of further generations weren't being taught about the horror of war, yes, but not the values that caused us to go to war and defend values in the first place. And he was worried about that, bless him, but he's no longer with us, so he can't answer for himself. But I think there was a different perspective amongst that generation than the one that is around today.
Look, both of you, thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Another cracking chat. Henry Bolton there and Colonel Richard Kemp. Right, now, after the break, I'll be joined by former SAS trooper Big Phil Campion. He meets some of our armed forces heroes in Campion's Champions. Don't go away.
We are GB News, and we'd like to say thank you to each and every one of you for bringing us your conversations, for helping our great nation find its voice. We are here for you on radio, television, and online, across England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland.
It's not the BBC, you actually get your facts right.
We are proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton Tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panellists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
My name's Tom Harwood, and join me 9:30 a.m. every weekday for The Briefing, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know about what's going on in politics today.
I wonder if this is a deal that might need to be like the biscuits in this factory, twice baked.
Is there not an opportunity here to win out against the extremes?
Tom Harwood, GB News.
What are you going to do about it?
Things should have been done differently, and they certainly are being done differently.
Don't miss it. The Briefing with me, Tom Harwood, 9:30 Monday to Friday on GB News.
Every Friday and Sunday night from 9, it's Mark Dolan Tonight.
We're on the same page again. There's something weird happening.
Let Ian finish. Don't be such a cranky.
That mini budget was the tip of the iceberg.
And on Saturday, my show just got bigger. From 8, it's Mark Dolan's Saturday Night In.
You can't govern a country if you can't speak. Stop talking.
My God, we reached the end. I've never been early in my life. Only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Arlene Foster, for The Briefing on GB News. Every Friday at 3 p.m, I'll give you all the latest political news and analysis, and we'll have robust live debate. To make sure that you're caught up on all of the biggest issues of the day, we'll bring on experts in their field. I'll ask the questions that you'd like to ask. We're not afraid to tackle discussions from all perspectives, including yours. Don't forget, The Briefing with me, Arlene Foster, every Friday at 3 p.m. on GB News.
We are GB News, right across the nation. You can get us on television, on radio, on digital. We're absolutely everywhere.
Amazing! You see, amazing!
You remind me of me in the European Parliament. But here's the most important bit. We are not part of the mainstream establishment. We think and speak just like you do. We are the People's Channel.
Magnificent. That's really, really thoughtful.
Come and join us on GB News, the People's News Channel.
On Mark Dolan tonight in My Big Opinion, as we remember those who gave up their lives for this country on Armistice Day, and as illiberal forces threaten our values once again, the fight for freedom has never been more important, and now it's our turn. In The Big Question, is it game over for Donald Trump? And in My Take at 10, a biological man identifying as a woman wins a beauty contest in America. This is progress, is it? And my Mark Meets guest is reality star, WAG and former Miss Great Britain, Danielle Lloyd. We're live at 9.
Welcome back, everybody. And we've got a load to get stuck into on this special edition of Friday Night Feast. We are going to get lighter as the show wears on, but today is, of course, Armistice Day, and we've got a special edition of Campion's Champions, where the former SAS soldier, Big Phil Campion, introduces us to some of the heroes who've put their lives on the line for our country. Big Phil joins us now, live from Jersey. And there he is. Phil, good to see you, my good man. Last time I saw you in person, you had a gun held to the back of my head for a Challenge Christie's. By the way, this week's Challenge Christie's, they're not telling me what it is, so I've got no idea, but it's nice to see you're in Jersey, so it can't involve you. Anyway, Phil, who have you been talking to this week? What's going on? Campion's Champions.
Right, first of all, mate, I spoke to Matt and Adam, who come from a charity called Pilgrim Bandits. Now, Pilgrim Bandits, they work with amputees, and they just improve their quality of life. They take them doing all sorts of stuff. They row across the channel, legally, by the way, okay? And they take them parachuting. They have so much going on. It is a really, really cool charity.
OK, all right, fantastic stuff. So you've been doing that. And what else? What else have we got on Campion's Champions, mate?
I've got a mate of mine, Brian Wood. Now, Brian Wood is doing good because he has run 35 marathons in 35 days. He's absolutely licked himself, OK? And he's doing that for Walking for Wounded, again, which is aiding our veterans.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. I believe is there someone else as well? Because you are really dedicated to this. You really want to pump the cause. I believe. Oh, in fact, I believe. Sorry, we can actually hear from someone now, can we? Go on.
Let's do it.
It's the ultimate sacrifice, and I did it last year, and I've done. You did? I done it for those who never made it home from Iraq and Afghanistan.
Yeah, and that was nails. That was 26 times 26 miles.
26 times 25.
25. That's right. But that was a nails challenge, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really, really difficult. I mean, it's some journey, and I wasn't going to do it again. I promised my wife that I wasn't going to do it. It was like it broke my body, and I actually watched the documentary on the Falklands 40, and I could really resonate with some of the first-hand accounts from soldiers who were involved in the Falklands War.
A gruesome, hard campaign.
A very hard campaign. You know, to liberate the Falkland Islands, and there was 255 personnel lost within that conflict. So yeah, I decided, you know what, I'm going to go again, but this time bring in the Falklands within the Iraq and
So that effectively putting those extra veterans onto the back of your shirt, which you wear 26 veterans on the back of your shirt every day, different veterans.
Yeah.
How many more miles did that put that onto your ultimate sacrifice?
So I'll be doing 917 total.
917 miles total, and that's 35 marathons back to back.
There we go, not a bad effort that, but I believe we can also hear a bit from Adam Elcock and Matt Hallier as well. They're doing some great work, is that right, Phil?
Yeah, that's right, absolutely. I went down to see them, and they're doing stuff with Pilgrim Bandits. It is a superb charity, really achieving some crazy stuff with amputees.
Fantastic. Look, Big Phil, thank you very much. Great stuff that from Campion's Champions. I do believe we do have a little bit of them talking as well, which I hope we can play now.
We're off to Everest. So we're going to do a return visit to Everest. So in April this year, we parachuted over Everest. We took 4 of our most severely injured veterans, both blue light and military. We took them up just off a base camp. And we
just to get a base camp, for me, is an effort, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? That is a proper effort. You know, it's not a sniff at base camp. People sort of like think, oh, we've just got out in the New Forest or something, but it's not. It's like a base camp is like up serious hills and rough terrain.
The boys will parachute at 23,000 feet on oxygen. They've done 2 descents each, and it was absolutely life-changing.
And so the challenge this time when you go out there?
Up to base camp and beyond. We're going to be taking up a number of limbless, obviously amputees, veterans, and it's going to be difficult.
Yes, exactly. These are the people, every single day of the week we should be paying gratitude to these people, but especially on today, Armistice Day. Big Phil, I just wanted to say thank you very much for cracking edition again of Campions Champions, and it's great to see you again, mate, and I wish you all the very best. And I've got my panel here, Greg Burns and Aidan McGee, and we just want to give you a big round of applause for everything that you do, mate. Come on, Big Phil. All right. Take care, mate. Yes, good stuff. Right, OK, well, what do you make of that, ladies and gentlemen? You heard the panel there. We're going to be getting stuck into some stories now from round your parts. This is the bit of the show where we take a look at some of the stories making it in the local newspapers around the UK. We do start in Snowdonia in Wales, where up to 200 asylum seekers are expected to be put up in a hotel. So the Welsh Government ministers say they weren't consulted about the plan, classic, which they've called wholly inappropriate. Meanwhile, one couple who were due to get married in Snowdonia next month have had their wedding cancelled because the hotel is now housing asylum seekers. Lucy Campbell said she's completely gobsmacked. She waits for the wedding night, eh? Greg, fancy a long weekend in that hotel, Greg?
Well, I mean, I'm sure it's a lovely part of the world, Snowdonia. I have checked the hotel out.
Oh.
Does look nice, 4-star.
Lovely.
Yeah. Apparently, it's the only pub is in the hotel. In the area, but at the moment maybe I'll probably wait till the new year now.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
saving up cost of living. I'm saving up for Christmas.
Have you ever crashed a wedding?
Yeah, I actually have.
Have you?
Kind of.
You look so much like a wedding crasher.
No, I went in to have a drink, and I was I just noticed all this food all over the place, and so I just thought, I'll have a sandwich. You know,
get on that.
A sandwich, and yeah, it was a part of a wedding, but. I've got a stag do, funnily enough. My friend's stag do in Butlins in March. And apparently there was a...
Bognor Regis?
Let me see. No, I think... Yes, it is. I've been to the Minehead one in 2017.
Bognor is a classic Butlins.
There's only 3 left in the country. Skegness is the other one, interestingly.
Yeah.
So anyway, I've got a stag do coming in March, and there's talk about migrants being housed in Butlins.
There is,
so
yeah.
I might see them at the 90s revival night.
The 90s revival, yeah, there was talk about migrants now being housed on cruise ships. So I think it's fantastic because after the 3rd rendition of the Rod Stewart tribute act, they'll be straight back to Cali, won't they?
Maybe they'll end up on the one the Wags are all going off to.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, when it comes back.
When it comes back, exactly. Right, OK, moving on now, because a man who attacked King Charles in York this week with an egg. You saw this guy, tries to turn our king into an omelette. Anyway, he's been given an unusual bail condition. He cannot possess eggs in public. So Patrick Thelwell said that he had absolutely no regrets after he was accused of throwing 4 eggs at the king on Wednesday. He also said he was not allowed to go within 500 metres of the king. Aidan, what's the worst thing someone's ever lobbed at you?
Let's see.
Your spit just now.
There you go. Yeah, sorry, have a bit of that, Aidan.
On the theme of sandwiches, it was actually somebody threw a bag of sandwiches that QPR were playing particularly bad. That's the team I support with, and then someone lobbed a half-eaten sandwich that was, I don't know, probably a couple of days old, and instead of getting as far as the pitch, it was a really crap throw. We got a terrible throw, and it hit me in the back of the head.
Yeah, good stuff. Greg, I'll ask you now. I mean, this guy, obviously, like I said, tries to turn our king into an omelette. For me, the big takeaway is he looks a bit like a junkie Harry Potter.
Well, and he certainly didn't look like someone that didn't have any regrets as he was being pinned on the floor. That looks slightly regretful. He also claimed to be a vegan, which I thought was quite interesting. And then somebody pointed out that probably as a vegan, thrown an egg in, and then he changed it to vegetarian. So he has learnt that he's learnt that he's not a vegan anyway.
He's evolving.
A coconut fell on my head in Chiang Mai in 2005, but that was an act of nature. It wasn't actually...
No, but that's a shame because you can't get the insurance payout for that. That's an
no, you can't. I've never been the same since.
No, and it really does show.
Yeah.
Right, OK, up next, a seagull wrecked a poor Sussex woman's home after she tried befriending it. Yes, this is as mental as it sounds. So the bird bit Hayley Binnington on the nose as she tried to chuck it out of her house. Greg, what's the worst thing a bird's ever done to you?
Well, I don't think I've ever tried to chuck one out of my house.
No.
So,
tried to entice them in.
Wasn't this during... Was this happening to her during lockdown, wasn't it?
Well, essentially, she was a lonely lady, yeah.
Yeah, didn't she? But I think she thought this was like her best friend in lockdown.
Well, it was.
Yeah.
A seagull, yeah.
But the seagull wasn't on lockdown, so no wonder it was annoyed.
Yeah.
Because the seagulls, they could do what they wanted. They were ignoring Matt Hancock.
This is what Chris Whitty and Matt Hancock and JVT and Patrick Vallance did to us. They reduced us to befriending seagulls. We're trapped in our own home. But You presumably wouldn't have kicked a bird out either.
No. I've had to once or twice in the past, but not recently. Thankfully, the policy's gone up.
OK, good stuff, good stuff. I like the fact, though, that, like, this woman obviously loved this bird, she cherished it, she thought, oh, it's my best friend, and the first opportunity it got, it bit her nose off.
And she did manage to get a photo of the moment as well. Was she filming it or something?
Yeah.
So and then posted it. I mean, yeah, maybe she probably would have... I would probably would have kept that quiet.
I think
Maybe it's a sign of affection, though.
Do we know the seagull world?
Yeah, maybe we don't know what...
Seagulls are an absolute menace, though. You can't go anywhere near the seaside with anything edible without a seagull swooping down and nicking it.
They've just got so much more front than Sainsbury's, especially if you're going to Brighton.
Oh, 100%. It's an absolute shocker. Right, it's time now for Patrick's Hat Trick. And this is where I look at 3 social media videos that have caught my eye this week. They've gone viral. We start with, continuing the bird theme, Aidan will be happy, with the pigeon who got a surprise when it hitched a lift on the wing of a plane. So I'm going to talk you through this particular clip now. For those of you listening on GB News Radio, the pigeon is enjoying a ride on the wing of a plane. It taxis down the runway. It's all going rather well for the bird. Yes, ominously close to the engine. Don't worry, it's a family show. It's a family show. But when the plane picks up a little bit of speed, it just goes whoop, and it's off in just a second there because it just couldn't take it. Hey! like when you've had one too many pints, you're like, I'm fine, I'm not fine anymore. OK. Greg, have you ever been removed from a plane?
No, but I've seen it happen. It's really... Oh, it's fantastic when that happens. You know, and especially when you know it's going to happen. Oh. I've seen somebody... I think it was coming back from a Tenerife or something, and some guy got caught smoking in the toilet, went and did it again, then started doing it in his seat, and everyone's like, look, as much as we don't want him smoking, we know that he's going to get met and caught. Armed cops come on, take him off.
Grief. You've never had the rubber glove treatment at an airport, have you, take it?
No, I don't think so, no. I remember Dennis Bergkamp, remember him? He wouldn't fly.
Yes, he wouldn't fly.
No, he wouldn't fly, but I said maybe they should put him out on the wing.
Oh, there he is. You see, it's just non-stop here.
We've peaked before 8. We got another hour. How did you follow that?
I told you it was going to get lighter.
Never peak before 8.
OK, the second part of Patrick's hat trick is from Russia, where... I mean, everything's a bit crackers in Russia, isn't it? A man who might just be a little bit worse for wear, just a little bit squiffy, was sitting on a bear while drinking vodka. I believe.
На коне!
Нет, скажи за Россию.
За Россию.
Пью за медведя. За Россию. За Россию.
Aidan, you've mounted a few beasts in your time.
No, I haven't. Who told you that?
No, everyone. Absolutely everyone.
Certainly not. No. I remember being. No, I'm not going to go there.
OK, good stuff.
This is definitely the only news programme where you'll hear the phrase, everything's a bit crackers in Russia.
Yes, it is, yeah. OK, the very final part of Patrick's hat trick features pop star Sam Smith. Now, he was caught making a TikTok video in the street, and check out the reaction of the woman who filmed it. Oh, fantastic. Yes, caught there, red-handed. Aidan, I reckon there's a few dodgy videos of you out there, maybe alluding to the beast thing that we spoke before.
No, probably. There are some dodgy videos, yeah, mainly since I joined GB News, unfortunately.
Yeah, indeed. All right, I would go to you on that one, but you've been saved because we're at the end of the hour. This hour has flown by. It's time for a very quick break, ladies and gentlemen, but lots is coming your way between now and 9 o'clock. We're going to speak about what could be the first ever nurses' strike in the UK. It turns out it might have been a rigged vote. You won't get that on the BBC. We'll delve into that. We tried to rehome a gorgeous rescue dog in Dog of the Week. And don't forget, I'll be doing a live challenge in the studio. My producers are not telling me what it is, but bear in mind that these are the same producers that brought you Cat Wedding, Disaster, a man who's artificially inseminated the most women in the world, which again was just not great TV. So I'm pretty nervous. I will stay tuned if I were you, because anything could happen. I'll be back in a few.
We are GB News.
And we'd like to say thank you
to each and every one of you
for helping our great nation
find its voice.
We're absolutely everywhere.
Across England, Scotland, Wales
and Northern Ireland. On TV,
on radio
and online.
We're proud to be
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Hello, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and you can join me every weekday 6 till 7 on Jubes and Kerr. Me and my panel will get stuck right into the day's events, and I can tell you, in fact, I can warn you, expect some robust debates, some strong opinions and perspectives from both sides of the fence. It's about you at home as well. I love to read out all of your comments, or at least as many as I can. So join me, Michelle Dewberry, Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on Jubes and Kerr.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch.
You've been cancelled. Join the club.
Oh my goodness me! And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
On the Mark Steyn Show, we cover the stories a lot of people are scared even to mention. The stuff that really matters with some of the world's biggest thinkers.
Now is his opportunity to kind of take the steering wheel of history.
Break away from the flop at 8 o'clock on GB News with the Mark Steyn Show.
Hello, I'm Esther McVeigh.
And I'm Philip Davis.
Whether you're watching or listening on TV, online or on radio, we handpick the latest stories, debates and expert opinions for your weekend. So whether that's politics, news or showbiz, we've got it covered.
Join us every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock on GB News.
Hello, I'm Alastair Stewart, and I'd invite you to join me at noon on Saturdays and Sundays for Alastair Stewart and Friends. I've been in this business for over 40 years. Now, here at GB News, I've never been happier. I get to choose the big stories that really interest me. We hear what you have to say, and you hear what I have to say. I really hope you can join me, noon on Saturdays and Sundays.
I'm Mark Dolan. Join me at 11 on GB News for Headliners, in which I'll be joined by two of the UK's top comedians discussing tomorrow's papers. If it's an important story, we'll cover it, but we'll have some fun along the way. Headliners, the late night paper review that won't send you to sleep like the others will. 7 nights a week at 11 p.m. on GB News.
Hi there, it's Stephen and Anne.
At breakfast from 6 a.m, you'll always be caught up with everything you need to know, the latest headlines, opinions and debates.
We'll bring you the good news and the bad, but most of all, we're here for you.
Remember, send in your views and let us know what you would like us to talk about.
That's because we're your news channel. And every morning at 6 a.m, it's breakfast on GB News.
Welcome back, you wonderful people, to Friday Night Feast. I'll be here until 9 o'clock. In just a few minutes' time, we'll look at the controversy surrounding the nurses' strike. I'll have the story as well of the trans woman who won a beauty pageant in the United States. There's rather a lot to talk about there because, as far as I can tell, well, it's a man for a start. You would argue that playing fast and loose with the term beauty, and as far as I understand it as well, not even from the area. So there we go. And of course, Challenge Christie's will take place live in the studio. I'm very nervous about this because I don't know what it is, so I would keep watching if I were you. That's all on the way. After the latest news, oh, she's back again. They always come crawling back. Tatiana Sanchez.
Thank you very much, Patrick. I'm Tatiana Sanchez in the GB newsroom. Residents in Ukraine have been celebrating in the key city of Kherson after Putin's soldiers were ordered to retreat. It was a city that was right on the front line since the invasion began back in February. Crowds cheered and chanted glory to the Ukrainian armed forces as President Zelensky called it an historic day. It comes after a main bridge over the Dnipro River on the west of the city was destroyed before Russian forces moved out. UK authorities and Coast Guards are preparing for a significant surge in small boats crossing the English Channel this weekend. Bad weather has stopped migrants from illegally reaching the coast for almost a fortnight. But GB News understands with the weather expected to improve, crime groups from Albania are planning a mass launch of small boats from French beaches tomorrow. It would be the first large-scale arrival since the end of last month, when just over 14,000 people arrived in 32 small boats. Chancellor Jeremy Hunt is warning there's a tough road ahead after new data shows the UK economy shrank between July and September. It contracted by 0.2% during the 3 months as the cost of living crisis deepened. Hunt says difficult decisions will be needed to restore confidence and economic stability, but that the British economy remains resilient. Last week, the Bank of England forecast a 2-year recession, which would be the longest on record. US President Joe Biden says the war in Ukraine has made it more urgent than ever to double down on climate commitments. Speaking at the COP27 climate summit in Egypt earlier on, Biden said he's treating the climate crisis with urgency, adding the US will meet emission reduction targets by 2030. He's called on all countries to act faster on climate change.
Climate crisis is about human security, economic security, environmental security, national security, and the very life of the planet. The United States of America will meet our emissions targets by 2030.
The UK marked Armistice Day with a 2-minute silence this morning. Bells rang out across the country, including the recently restored Big Ben in London, ahead with 2 minutes silence to remember the war dead. A service was held at the National Memorial Arboretum in Staffordshire to pay tribute to all those who've served their country. TV, online and DAB+ radio. This is GB News. Now it's back to Patrick and the Friday Night Feast.
Welcome back, everybody. Now, nurses have voted to go on strike for the first time, or have they? Because it's emerged that less than half of the NHS's acute trust in England back strike action. You won't hear this in a lot of news reports, but we've delved into it. The decision to walk out was already a hugely controversial one, with fears that patients would suffer as a crucial treatment operations and things like that cancelled. So the Royal College of Nursing want a 17.6% pay rise for nurses. So, should nurses actually be striking? And to discuss this now, I'm joined by the London-based NHS GP, Dr. Veena Babby. Thank you very much, Dr. Veena. Great to have you on the show. Well, I was live on air in my other time slot midweek when the nurses' strike story broke, and I was very much like, oh, OK, clearly now it appears that a majority of nurses who are with the RCN, their union, have voted to go on strike. But it doesn't actually really appear that that's the case, because they used a re-aggregated voting system. So they took each hospital trust as an individual case. And actually some places, for example, like the Midlands and the vast majority of London hospitals, for example, didn't vote to go on strike. Is that right?
Yeah, it is. But I think the bigger question really, even if they were to go on strike, is I think these frustrations have been felt in the NHS for a long time. Nurses don't really go into a profession that, you wouldn't go into a profession of caring, working long hours, dealing with such strenuous things from the brink of COVID until now, unless they really wanted to, unless they really had to. So even if the numbers were just in the Midlands or a couple of trusts, and these have now been, misinterpreted or explained a bit differently, they are discussing it at the Royal College. If they do go on strike, it's because they've come to the end of their tether. I think they're at a breaking point, and they are the backbone, they are the spine of our NHS, and I think we should listen.
I get that. I do get that. But I think it was the way it was initially portrayed was like nurses as a whole have all decided to go on strike. And actually, when you really break it down, it's quite a small percentage of nurses in this country who clearly feel strongly enough about this to go on strike. And so if you're looking at caving in over a whopping pay demand, or we're constantly talking about how catastrophically awful conditions are, clearly quite a small percentage of nurses actually feel that way.
They do, but I think it's also because that small proportion of nurses have voiced it. If I'm honest with you, I think a large proportion of nurses feel this way. And I say this because I've worked very closely with nurses my entire medical career, and maybe only a small proportion have voiced it. And that's where this number comes from. You know, it's not that it's not felt, it's just that's how it's been voiced.
Yeah, I think some people are concerned because the way that the Royal College of Nursing have gone about this is that they've not counted it in a way that one would normally expect it. So just a whole total of votes, and have we got a plus 50% majority? They've reaggregated it, so they've done it trust by trust by trust. And then they've almost done that, some would see, to force a strike through. And I think people are questioning, actually, is this more political than practical?
I would agree. It could be political, but I don't know, Patrick, do you remember when junior doctors went on strike back in 2015?
Yeah.
That was the year I had just qualified as a doctor, and in that Christmas we were going on strike. And let me tell you the truth, what happened on the front line. Everyone said, oh, we're going to go on strike, we feel this way. Who actually did it? There were loads of us who backed out, and we couldn't leave our patients. We went back to work. The ones who did strike didn't get paid for those days of strike. So, you know, better believe that we did, those couple of days' pay was cut from our paychecks. So even if the nurses are saying this, I do think if a patient was extremely poorly, or if a department was extremely poorly staffed, I agree with you. They're not going to not show up to the point where you're putting people's lives at risk. So the numbers may have been manipulated in that way. But I think it goes back to why, and I think everyone is at breaking point and they want some action to be taken. So I think that's also a focus we should have.
Yeah, and I think now it's important to try to maybe focus on the Royal College of Nursing itself as opposed to individual nurses and people like that, and who do save lives on a daily basis. But the Royal College of Nursing might have a lot to answer for, because if a lot of people are looking at it now and thinking, oh, good grief, winter is a time when there's things like cold and flu, and no doubt COVID will rear its head again, and it's a bad time to get ill anyway, winter, isn't it? And now a lot of people, especially the elderly, might be sitting there terrified, thinking there's going to be this massive strike. It could go on for as long as 6 months. But in reality, the Royal College of Nursing, some would say, has fudged the data to try to use it as a political negotiating system, as opposed to actually maybe having the best interests of nurses and indeed patients at heart.
I would say if they have and they can leverage some pay rise or some improved conditions for themselves, good on them, because I think it's about time. I think it's about time these nurses and the college who represent the nurses stand up for what's, you know, rightfully owned by them. And I can put patients and whoever is worried at ease. I don't think our healthcare staff are going to go on strike for months on. It's just not going to happen. So please don't be worried and alarmed by the things you read and hear.
That's a very reassuring way to finish our chat. Thank you so much. Thank you for making time for us as well on a Friday night. We do massively appreciate it. That is London-based NHS GP Dr. Veena Babu. Thank you very much. I will bring my wonderful panel back in now. Aidan McGee joins me, sports journalist, friend of the show, property mogul. Now, yeah, no, I won't. Actually, I'm going to hammer that. Look, this nurses' strike thing, where do you stand on it? Because I find it a bit unconscionable if people die as a result, frankly.
I think Dr. Veena is absolutely right. I think when it comes to it, I think we'll probably reach we resolve before then anyway, before we reach such a point. But I think a lot of nurses will think twice about walking away from their patients. I think they'll lose a PR battle as well if they do that. My dad was actually, back in the 70s, was a care home manager, a member of NUPE. He was trained as a nurse, one of the very few male nurses in that era. My mum was an occupational therapist at that time, just in Willesden, down the road in the London Borough of Brent. And I believe, if my memory serves me correctly, from recollections he gave me years later, I believe there was an option to strike back in about 1978.
Yeah.
It didn't happen because it's not something they do very often, is it, the nurses?
No, not at all.
And so I think, but he didn't want to strike, and I think that they may have reached a resolution. I wasn't around at the time, but.
Yeah, well, like I said, Greg, I'll bring you in now. Greg Burns, comedian. I was live...
Not a property mogul.
Not yet. Give it time. This time next year, Greg, this time next year. But I was live on air when the news of the nurses' strike broke, and the way it was portrayed, because it takes a little time to delve into their figures, the way it was portrayed was nurses en masse. Of the 300,000 members of the Royal College of Nursing, the vast majority of them are voted to go on strike. And you look at it, and it's like pretty much no one in the Midlands, not that many down south in London whatsoever. It's pockets of this. And I can't help but wonder whether or not it's just part of a coordinated strike attempt. It's politically motivated, maybe.
Well, I mean, I haven't seen the figures, and the first I knew about it was obviously coming... that perspective was coming here tonight. I mean, when I heard about the nurses' strike, it was very hard to imagine... You know, nurses that I know or have met, or, you know, we've all at some point probably had dealings with the NHS. It's very hard to imagine those kind of people that have that calling going out, you know, fully on strike. That I didn't at any point think I didn't think that this could lead us leave us in danger. I mean, I can imagine, of course, on mass that, of course, they want to be looked after, and we all want them looked after.
We all want a pay rise. Yeah,
we all want them to have a pay rise. But is it political? I'm surprised to know that there are so few that have said they would like strike action.
Because this is the thing, it's a bit of a manipulation of the data, actually. And I think it's quite disingenuous, really. And I think the Royal College of Nursing, I'll say it, I think they should hang their heads in shame over this, because the way that it was portrayed was like, right, we've got the absolute vast majority of nurses in the country. Well, there's only 300,000 nurses who are a member of the Royal College of Nursing. Of those, it's difficult to say, but certainly nowhere near 100%, definitely not that much around the 50% mark, have actually decided to go on strike. So, and of those, you would imagine that not a huge amount of them actually will end up striking because of their conscience getting in the way.
But surely also with the nurses' strike, it's never going to be, it would always have to be, if they agreed to strike, they would surely be done in a way that was orchestrated so that there is the voices heard, but they're not going to go out and leave their patients.
It's quite self-defeating because they end up getting agency staff in, so we end up paying more for agency staff. And then on top of that, if they all got a whopping great big pay rise of the 17.6%, we'd have less money to recruit new nurses, which doesn't help the recruitment crisis, does it? So it does seem a little bit self-defeating in that regard.
But if they're getting paid more, then surely that would help the
retention crisis.
No, the recruitment crisis, because surely if they knew it was a career where they could make more, they're more likely to...
We might not be able to afford to hire that many more of them, is the issue. It's all a knife edge.
The problem has to be in central London, surely, doesn't it? I mean, if you consider commuting costs and cost of living in this city particularly, I mean, it must
and yet only 1 in 3...
to be able to manage it.
And yet only 1 in 3 hospital trusts in London decided that they actually wanted to go on strike. So you don't get that on the BBC, do you? Where there's mass walkout. Right, well, look, thank you very much, chaps. And there's loads still to come here, because this world is so blooming normal, right? This is something I've been desperate to talk about. And if you've not seen this yet, where have you been? But prepare to spit your coffee, or let's be honest, at this time of the evening, your gin and tonic out. An American beauty pageant had a controversial winner. It's a trans woman. Brian Wen entered the Greater Derry Beauty Competition operated by the Miss America organisation. And Brian, there we go. We can see which one Brian is. There's a few issues, This is like a South Park sketch. Brian beat several women to the first prize. Perhaps her special skill is testing our collective sanity. To get more on this, I'm joined now by Father Ted creator and legend, a chap I've always wanted to meet, actually, although I'm going to have to do it virtually, Graham Linehan. Graham, thank you very much. I'm just going to be really straightforward about this, and I'm probably going to copy it on social media. There's a few things wrong with this. It's a man who, as I understood it, potentially wasn't traditionally from that area, also isn't particularly beautiful. Your views?
Well, it would be fine if a woman who looked the way he looks ever won a competition like that, but they don't. The only person, in fact, who could win a competition like that while looking like that is a man. And the thing that people kind of forget about this is it's not just a question of being nice to people and being accommodating, but there was a £7,000 prize award for that competition. And I believe there was also some talk of sponsorship to colleges and that kind of thing. So it's not just a kind of silly competition, although these competitions are, a thing of the past, really, and they are a bit ridiculous. But it has, there's good things if you win it. And that's been stolen from these women. And I noticed as well that the women in the image are seen cheering and applauding.
Yeah, that got me as well. That really got me, because you can see them. You know that surely, well, either they've been brainwashed into thinking that this is a fantastic thing, or they're just lying. But, I mean, spiked online...
No, can I add something to that, Mark?
Go on.
It's not that they're lying or brainwashed. It's that they know that if they express even a slight bit of annoyance or frustration, their lives will be destroyed by trans rights activists. That's what it's about. These people, they're not just kept in place by social conditioning, they're also kept in place by fear.
But I cannot get my head around how utterly mental it is that a fat bloke has won a beauty pageant. Like, seriously. And I'm
Well-
sorry, I'm not, you know, I don't want to... But there is also that element to it. You hit the nail on the head, which is that I'm sorry, but no woman, no biological woman who looked like that would have won that beauty pageant. And there were several... Yeah. I mean, you actually, I think you wrote Father Ted, didn't you? There was the lovely girls element to that, which I thought was fantastic. Yeah. I mean, you actually couldn't write this, could you?
No, I mean, people are always saying, are you ever going to write something about all this? And I genuinely think it's kind of next to impossible. It's too absurd. The only way you could really cover this subject is with either a documentary or a kind of docudrama like the OJ story, because the truth of it is so extraordinary that you have to base it on the truth, or no one will buy it. You know, I mean, when we say to people in 20 years' time, we had a UK Prime Minister who said it was wrong to say that only women have a cervix.
Yeah.
People won't believe us. People won't believe us. But unfortunately, that's where we are. And it's because this whole kind of gender ideology is so incoherent that...
Well, it is incoherent, but it's also gone... We've almost hit the peak here, although I fear that there's always a way up, or should that be down, which is that, Brian could have come a respectable fourth, or a respectable third, or, dare I say it, even a second. But no, Brian came first. And, I mean, the judges must have been sitting there thinking, OK, a bloke's entered this now who's wearing a dress. If we don't let Brian win, are we now anti-trans? And this isn't what women threw themselves in front of horses for, is it?
But to be fair, they didn't throw themselves in front of horses for beauty competitions either. No. But weirdly enough, in America, the Women's Liberation Front, WOLF, have actually teamed up with a beauty pageant to say that only female-born contestants can be accepted. So what you're seeing is women actually who have differing views on feminism and differing views on women's rights are coming together because they realize that this is a direct threat, not just to beauty pageants, but also things like all women shortlists and women's literary prizes, all these sorts, all of which have had men being entered into them in recent years.
Yeah, and that's before you get stuck into sports and goodness knows what else as well. Graham, I'm just going to leave you with this question. When are you going to win a beauty pageant? I want to see you enter it. Prove a point. Go there, put a frock on and win it.
Well, unfortunately, I don't have that brass a neck, but if you have a brass neck and you're willing to kind of make an absolute arse of yourself, this is the time. It's a boom time for con men at the moment. So now is the time to do it.
It is. I wouldn't be surprised if it turns out that this was all a massive joke concocted by Brian, who's immediately outside, takes the dress off, puts a United shirt on, faglit, can of Stella, like, all right, there you go, lads, I told you I'd do it, off to the stag do. Right, Graham, look, thank you very much, my good man. I must say, can I just say, Graham, you are an absolute hero of mine. I do get to interview some really interesting people on this, and you are just stellar. Father Ted, amongst your other work, of course, is brilliant stuff. So thank you very, very much. Just for everything, really. Graham, lend a hand there. There you go. Oh, a round of applause. There you are. Right, then, when are you entering a beauty pageant? Right.
I'd give it a crack.
For want of a better phrase.
Oh, did I? I'm just disappointed. To be honest, it was hard. I think everyone knows their opinions on what we've seen. I just was desperately hoping that your last question to Graham was going to be, is the IT crowd coming back? I just sort of zoned out. I was thinking, this is the man that wrote the IT crowd.
It is, indeed. Now, Aidan McGee is furiously on his phone here.
Are you entering?
What's going on, mate?
He's entering.
It's one in Bromley on 5th of December.
There's a beauty pageant in Bromley on the 5th of December.
Do you reckon I can do it?
Can you enter it?
Yeah, I can. Well,
I think you're pretty much good to go right now.
You are.
Not on my shoulder pads.
I think you should enter it. But I'm sorry, this is utter madness. And I don't want to... I'm not trying to fat shame anyone here as well. I'm not trying to say that, big isn't beautiful and all this stuff. But we also cannot get around the fact that not only has that individual, been born with meat and 2 veg, it's also looks like they've eaten a fair bit of meat and 2 veg. It's a beauty pageant for women, not a woman, not beautiful, I'll say
But
it.
the left have been telling us for the last 20 years that beauty pageants are out of order anyway. Have they not?
What's that? Sorry, I was getting shouted at in my ears.
The left have been telling us over the last 20 or 30 years that beauty pageants are are a thing of the past anyway.
Well, yeah, I get it.
But throw a trans activist in there or a trans person.
A lob a bloke in there,
yeah,
and we're all right.
It's on. They're back in vogue.
It's back on. I know all this seems a little bit comical, maybe, and I know all this might seem a little bit, we're all having a laugh about it. But actually, there is something quite sinister about all of this to me, because you've now got men, women winning female sports events. You've now got, kind of blokes dressed up as women teaching classes to kids and drag acts to kids and over-sexualised drag acts to kids. And then you've got a man turning up winning a female beauty pageant. And I'm just very concerned about the precedent that this sets and where it ends. Anyway, that's enough of that for now. And also, yes, I'm going to get my ear. Some plus-size models are indeed very beautiful. That's not the point I was making. I was just saying that this particular person wasn't. Right, coming up, oh gosh, yeah. So, normally I do Challenge Christie's, right? But I actually have a rough idea. Well, I've already filmed it, so I know what it is when I come on air and tell you. But this one, nobody is telling me what it is, and they won't tell me. Everybody else knows about it. It's coming up very, very shortly. I'm going to be doing something no doubt horrific. Stay tuned.
Hello there, it's Eamon Holmes here from Breakfast on GB News. We're not just on your television and your screens, We're
on DAB plus digital radio, so you can listen to your favourite shows on the move.
If you've not yet listened to GB News Radio, it's very simple. We're on your radio player and TuneIn apps, on your smart speaker, phone or tablet, or online at gbnews.uk.
Take us with you wherever you go. GB News Radio.
You never have to miss a moment of the People's Channel.
Hello, I'm Simon Evans. Join me on GB News for Headliners at 11 p.m, where I'll be joined by two of the country's top comedians as we take a look at tomorrow's newspapers tonight. If it's a big story, we'll be covering it, I guarantee, but we'll also have some fun along the way. That's GB News Headliners at 11 p.m. We won't put you to sleep, unlike some of the other paper review shows out there. So join us, 11 p.m, 7 nights a week.
I'm Mark White. As GB News Home and Security Editor, I cover those key issues that are so important to you. Our authorities, our communities doing all they can to combat violent crime. With the public services under unbearable strain, why are we still failing to control our borders? Defence, the first priority of any government, has been continually hollowed out. Can we trust our politicians to protect the armed forces? Join me, Mark White, on GB News.
Monday to Thursday on GB News, it's Bev Turner Today from 10 a.m. There's never been a more interesting but also critical time in British politics, and I can't wait to bring you the biggest stories of the day with the best factual accuracy and also a few of my own opinions thrown in. We'll engage in passionate but always polite debate with your thoughts and opinions at the centre of it all. Monday to Thursday, 10 till 12 on TV, on radio and online.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here. You will notice the northwestern accents.
Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning, it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
Monday to Thursday nights on GB News. At 6, it's Dubes & Co. 7 o'clock, Farage. At 8, join Mark Stein. And at 9, Dan Wootton Tonight, followed by Headliners. On TV, radio and online. This is GB News.
On the Mark Stein Show, we cover the stories a lot of people are scared even to mention. The stuff that really matters with some of the world's biggest thinkers.
Now is his opportunity to kind of take the steering wheel of history.
Break away from the flock at 8 o'clock on GB News with the Mark Stein Show.
We are GB News.
And we'd like to say thank you
To each and every one of you.
For helping our great nation.
Find its voice.
We're absolutely everywhere.
Across England, Scotland,
Wales and Northern Ireland. On TV.
On radio.
And online.
We're proud to be
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody, to Friday Night Feast. It's time now for Challenge Christmas, which I'm getting increasingly nervous about. In the last few months, I've done so many brilliant things. I've landed an aeroplane, I've saved a penalty from football legend Matt Le Tissier, I've been put through my paces by an Olympic gymnast. But tonight, I'm doing a live challenge in the studio, and I genuinely have absolutely no idea what this is. No one's telling me. I'm reading the auto cue now for the first time on this. So can I now hand over to my very good friend Aidan McGee, who can tell us what I'm going to do? Over to you, Aidan.
Patrick, look, let me assure you, I've known about it for a while, but you've got absolutely nothing to worry about. But I do want to introduce someone very special who's coming through the door now. His name is Martin Nicholas. He's from the British...
Oh, no.
And he's coming especially to see us.
No.
Calm down, sit down. Sit down. Come with me, Martin. Come on, welcome to the studio. Welcome to GBNews.
Thank you.
No.
If you'd like to take a seat, because you've got some very...
Oh, no, I'm not feeling nice. I can't
Patrick, sit down. Please sit down. Please sit down.
I'll put it behind me.
Just
I've got arachnophobia, OK.
And arachnophobia.
OK, so it's spiders, right now.
Well, no, don't let Martin explain.
So we have a few. So we have
settle down, you'll be fine.
We have the entry-level one, which isn't a spider. I've got to say, this is not a spider.
I don't care what it is, kill it.
It's already dead.
It's already dead.
It's already... Don't you dare throw that on me. I promise you I will break your nose.
I promise you I will not throw it on you. I promise.
Wait, can you stand behind him so he can't leave the studio?
Yeah. No,
it's a lot of paperwork to throw things.
Honestly, it's fine. It's absolutely fine.
It's not fine.
You're in a controlled environment.
What is it if it's not a spider, then?
I've never lost a patient.
Why is it twitching?
It's not twitching.
OK, all right.
This is just the skin. So I'm going to take the lid off and I'm going to put it down on the table, OK?
OK, this is...
No, Patrick.
That thing used to be alive, yeah?
Yeah,
it's furry. It's like a Labrador. No, OK, right, fine. Come on, move it on.
I'll tell you what. If I hold it like that, so that looks like I'm holding a spider.
It does, yeah.
It's not. It's the skin. This is just the hollow skin.
Nothing to worry about.
The one that made the skin is behind you.
I can't do this.
Patrick, come on.
What have I got to do?
Stay.
What have I got to do?
Well, it's a series. So obviously it's a challenge. I've been explained. This has been explained to me. This is a challenge, OK? And you can go as high up or as low down of the challenge as you wish.
I have got genuine arachnophobia. This is all... By the way, this is shocking. Did Colin from Health and Safety go to this? Where's Colin?
We'll put him on your pants in a minute.
You know in the ad break when you said it's not the Dream Boys, is it? Do you wish it was the Dream Boys now?
What have we got? What have we got then? What have we got?
So would you like to hold the skin? And bear in mind, this is made of the same material as your hair and nails.
Protein, it's harmless.
I don't...
This is chitin.
All right.
Yeah. OK, hand nice and flat.
Nice and flat, Pat.
I don't even want to do the skin, mate.
It'd look good in your hair.
There you go.
Yeah. Go on.
OK.
I don't like it, mate. I don't like it. Oh,
there you go.
OK.
Look at that.
Yeah, but that thing...
Yeah.
Look, there you go.
Yeah.
OK, right. I've not got to do a live...
Patrick.
Mate, get it off me,
overcoming your fears.
Please get it off me.
It's about overcoming your fears.
There we go.
OK.
Nothing to worry about.
That's it. And that's the skin. So you've already won 1 star for the people
Well done,
to
Patrick.
eat.
Well done.
OK.
You
So
didn't look scared,
the skin came from this.
No.
So this is a Mexican red knee tarantula. OK. Wow. So she's completely enclosed.
Sorry, guys, you might have to do a bit of filling here because I can't really talk.
That's OK. OK.
Keep going.
Is it sleeping?
She's just in repose. They don't sleep as such.
What does repose mean?
It means he's not moving.
Do you want to, we need to show the viewers exactly what I'm up to. Can you hold this up to one of the cameras over there?
Of course.
And just show it? Has it got a name? Let's try and humanise it. Oh, no, keep it there.
This is called Olivia.
Olivia?
Yeah. So there she is.
Oh,
now, Olivia is from Mexico. She's a female red knee tarantula.
Oh, we're moving. Look, moving.
So
I can't.
I'm off.
Patrick, stay where you are, please.
She's massive.
Oh, my goodness.
Is she venomous? Poisonous?
They all have venom because they use venom to catch and kill their prey.
Right. So you're sure that Colin from Health and Safety would OK with this?
He said, whatever. Yeah,
How quick are they?
What do you want to see?
No.
Oh.
OK, go on. All right, just do it. Just do whatever has got to be done now. Let's get it over with.
I'll tell you what.
What have I got to do?
Yeah. So I'm going to move her gently with my hand. If you like, I'm not going to force you. You can put your hand inside and I can get her to walk onto your hand.
Oh, go on. It's a challenge, Patsy. Come on.
I've got genuine arachnophobia.
I fully understand. I'm not going to ask you to do something that you're not comfortable in doing, apart from this, obviously.
Well, obviously this is terrible. Well, the thing is now, because it's on live telly, I've got to do this.
Yeah, of course you have.
Okay, so what do you want me to do? Put my...
We're letting the viewers down if you don't.
Put my hand in. Do I have to look at it? It's not going to go up my sleeve or anything, is it?
It will not go up your sleeve.
OK, all right, well, let's just do it.
Let's
just do it.
I'm giving you a no-bite guarantee. OK.
He's my aftershave from earlier on.
So what I'm going to suggest is that you put your hand into the tank like that.
Oh, my good grief.
OK. So just bend your fingers.
Oh, mate. Oh, mate.
Go on.
OK.
That's it.
All right.
Okay.
What happens now?
OK, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get...
Oh, there's more over there!
Oh, yeah, that's the big one. That's next. So, Olivia...
Oh, no! Oh!
Keep it there, Patrick.
No, mate, I absolutely hate this. I absolutely hate this. What,
Okay,
is she on me or not?
Yeah, she's on you. Yeah.
Oh, no!
She's just resting her hand on you. It's all good. It's all good. You're doing great. You're doing great. Great. This is great.
It's literally one tiny touch.
That's it. Yeah. She's there you go. She'll just...
There you go.
She's touching you.
Oh,
You're holding hands with Olivia.
Oh, she likes you.
She likes you. She does
You
like
and
you.
Olivia up a tree.
All right, just get it over with. Come on.
OK, so we're going to go...
Oh,
there we go. Bit more.
Oh, my good gosh. OK, Olivia is on my hand.
Yep, she's on your hand there. A little bit.
I think I'm going to throw up. OK, all right.
You're good. OK, so you can gently remove your hand.
Gently, though.
OK.
There you go. There you
Well
go.
done.
That's
Okay.
it. That's
All
challenge two.
All right.
That's challenge 2.
2 out of 3.
Now, would you like to go large, sir?
What have we got next? What have we got next?
So we now have a bird-eating spider from South America.
All right,
And he's gone. He's gone.
A bird eating.
Come on, Patrick, come back.
Lock the doors.
Come back. Listen, I'll
OK.
He's left his phone here. He's got
All
a few
right,
transfers on that, I'm sure.
all right.
OK.
OK, we're
Come
on.
back.
I don't want to put added pressure.
Cattle prop.
If I let
That's
you
for
hold that,
you.
will you feel brave, Buff?
OK,
There
all
we
right.
go.
OK, all right. So this is... Can we with the what do I do? I don't pick it up with this.
Oh, no, you're not going to pick it up. Oh,
Okay.
no. She'll probably pick you up. Yeah.
That is absolutely massive. Right, now you need to show our viewers properly with the size of whatever.
We'll show you. So this is Dolores.
That camera there. Oh, my good grief.
To be fair, I don't have arachnophobia, and that's quite...
Oh, no, not a chance, mate. Not a chance. Not a chance.
Wow.
So Dolores is called a Campina Grande salmon pink bird eater from Brazil.
Why have they got such nice names?
Bird eater?
Well, common names, Latin names. I mean, her Latin name is Lasiodora paraihobana.
Wow.
It's even more of a mouthful.
Bit of a mouthful, yeah.
Yeah. So she comes from the Amazon rainforest in Brazil. That's about as big as she gets. Yeah, so she's probably about 8-9 inches in leg span. About 25, 27 centimetres.
Can you tilt it up again? I'm being told. You need to tilt it up. We've got to get a good look at this.
There we go.
Oh, wow.
So what have I... Oh, my God. Don't anger it. Wind it up.
There she goes. OK.
So it eats birds.
Wow, here we go.
Well, the name bird eater is a bit of a misname. It comes from a lady naturalist who once saw a spider like this catch and kill a hummingbird while it was feeding from a flower.
How old is she?
She is probably about 12 years old, so she's an adult female. They can live up to about 25 years.
So about secondary school
Not
age.
if I think such as me. It's not.
Yeah.
OK, so what do you want me to do with it?
Okay.
This one seems a lot more lively than the other one.
Same drill.
I think I'm going to throw up.
Same drill. Hand in, nice and flat, and we'll get her to walk onto your hand.
But you need to get it off sharpish.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Obviously
No, but seriously, do, because you think it's funny, I'm going to end up crushing her spiders to death on national television. I feel awful about it.
Who would have thought at the start of this week Matt Hancock would have more dignity on TV than you?
Well, they're quite topical this week, aren't they, with the Gavin Williamson incident on these.
Guys, I don't think I can do
Gavin
this.
Williamson had pet tarantulas.
I really don't. I really don't. I honestly really I'm sorry, I really don't think I can do this. I'm terrified.
That's OK. That's OK. That's all right.
Have another look at it. Get them to have another look at it and just see what people at home think, whether or not I... Would you go anywhere near that?
Yeah, come on.
So if you like, what I will ask you to do is to put your hand in, like that, next to the spider. We won't get her to walk onto you unless you're absolutely confident.
Yeah, he's confident.
Could it run and scuttle and right up?
Confident, Patrick.
Yeah.
All right. Let's just get it over with. Let's just do it. Flipping heck. Can I just say, apologies for anyone, because I do have a genuine phobia like this, and I know that it's... Well, I don't know what time the watershed is. I probably should. I work in TV. But I really, honestly, I really am going to do my best here not to swear anything, but I am legitimately terrified. So please, just be aware that something might creep out. I'll try for it not to. But...
You're doing great. We're on the downhill stretch now.
Yeah, we are.
Well, it went downhill a while ago, mate.
She's not that big, anyway.
All right.
OK.
Oh, OK.
Hand nice and flat.
Can I what?
In the bottom of the tank. I would suggest that end just there.
All right, I'm going to go for righty, actually.
OK.
Oh, my days.
You can go up here or down there.
Oh, he's shaking. Go on, get it in there.
Oh, mate, look, I'm actually... Oh,
it's OK. You're doing great. You're doing great. OK? We're gonna...
Oh, this doesn't like me.
Don't look at it, Patrick.
She's gonna shake hands with you.
Oh, don't look at Dolores.
Oh, no.
You see worse than Friday night in Manchester.
Did I just make that noise?
Oh, it was a manly scream.
Right,
it was fine.
Again,
it's fine. Yeah.
People can actually see.
There we go.
Don't frighten her, Patrick. She gets angry.
I can't look at it.
OK, I'll tell you what. Why don't you bring your hand to this side of the tank?
OK.
And we'll move her up towards me. OK.
OK. This is over.
Changing hands.
Okay. Shouty mates around.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
OK.
I'm so happy right now.
I'm gonna... Oh no!
OK, you're good. You're good.
Someone's getting killed for this. All right, look, thank you very much.
Has he passed the challenge?
He's passed the challenge.
Oh, my God.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's not still on me. It's still on me.
It's not still on you. No.
All right, look, thank you
and we're
very
away.
much. Thank
and
you
we're
very
away.
much. Honestly,
hand taking things out.
All right, OK.
We're fine.
You sure?
OK,
Yeah,
right, now,
okay.
guys, I'm sorry. This is, the most unprofessional thing I've ever done. But look, thank you very, very much.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
You're incredibly brave. Well done.
I'm sorry, mate. I'm just genuinely terrified. And look, thank you so much. OK, well, there we go.
OK.
Thanks,
That was this
nice
week's
to
this week's time. So you am I sticking with this for a moment or not? What am I doing? Come on, tell me. I'm all over the place. Needs a break. OK, good. All right. OK, thank you very much. Look, lovely stuff, mate. Great to meet you.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you so much.
Cheers,
right.
Well done.
OK, right. Well, the bad news is that there's... Sorry about this. I can feel it on me. There's one part left to the show of Friday Night Feast, but the good news is we've got loads more on the way. There's Patrick's fake news, Christie's courtroom, and, of course, Dog of the Week. Yeah. Right, don't go away. Flipping out.
We are GB News, and we'd like to say thank you to each and every one of you for bringing us your conversations, for helping our great nation find its voice. We are here for you on radio, television, and online, across England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland.
It's not the BBC, you actually get your facts right.
We are proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Dan Wootton. Join me Monday to Thursday from 9 to 11 for the feistiest and most fun news debate on TV, where free speech reigns. I'll bring you a sharp take on the day's biggest stories, bombshell newsmaker interviews, and A-list guests. And I guarantee you, no spin, no bias, no censorship, and no reason to go to bed. That's Dan Wootton tonight, Monday to Thursdays from 9 on GB News.
My name is Andrew Doyle. Join me every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. for Free Speech Nation. This is a show where we address current affairs and news stories of the week with the help of two wonderful comedian panelists. I brought in comics because I want to give it a lighter edge, and also they work for less. See you there.
My name's Tom Harwood, and join me 9:30 a.m. every weekday for The Briefing, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know about what's going on in politics today.
I wonder if this is a deal that might need to be like the biscuits in this factory, twice baked.
Is there not an opportunity here to win out against the extremes?
Tom Harwood, GB News.
What are you going to do about it?
Things should have been done differently, and they certainly are being done differently.
Don't miss it. The Briefing with me, Tom Harwood, 9:30 Monday to Friday on GB News.
Every Friday and Sunday night from 9, it's Mark Dolan Tonight.
We're on the same page again. There's something weird happening.
Let Ian finish. Don't be such a cranky.
That mini budget was the tip
of the iceberg. And on Saturday, my show just got bigger. From 8, it's Mark Dolan's Saturday Night In.
You can't govern a country if you can't speak. Stop talking.
My God, we reached the end. I've never been early in my life. Only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Join me, Arlene Foster, for the briefing on GB News. Every Friday at 3 p.m, I'll give you all the latest political news and analysis, and we'll have robust live debate. To make sure that you're caught up on all of the biggest issues of the day, we'll bring on experts in their field. I'll ask the questions that you'd like to ask. We're not afraid to tackle discussions from all perspectives, including yours. Don't forget, the briefing with me, Arlene Foster, every Friday at 3 p.m. on GB News.
We are GB News, right across the nation. You can get us on television, on radio, on digital. We're absolutely everywhere.
Amazing. You see, amazing.
You remind me of me in the European Parliament. But here's the most important bit. We are not part of the mainstream establishment. We think and speak just like you do. We are the People's Channel.
Magnificent. That's really, really thoughtful.
Come and join us on GB News, the People's News Channel.
Welcome back, everybody, to Friday Night Feast. I'm still recovering from one of the worst experiences in my life when I handled 2 live tarantulas. You can watch it on the GB News Facebook page, as well as our Twitter and our YouTube channel. I'm genuinely shaken by that. But anyway, it's time now for Patrick's fake news, when I make up a story, OK, and I go out and see whether or not the people, well, the great British public, will actually fall for it. I'm a Celebrity Get Me Out of Here is on. In fact, it was much closer to home than I wished it was just a second ago when I did handle those tarantulas. It's one of the biggest stories of this week. But after Matt Hancock joined the show, I decided to tell the great British public that some other utter wrong-uns were in there as well. They were heading in. Let's see what happened. They're sending Matt Hancock's ex-wife in.
That's funny.
How do you feel about that?
Should be great fun.
I don't watch it.
So you just don't care?
Not really.
I think you mentioned Prince Andrew and you mentioned Matt Hancock. Yeah. They should both go to psychotherapy to sort out their sex addiction.
That's all I'll say, a little bit exciting.
Yes, would you watch it? Apparently Rolf Harris is going into the jungle.
Right.
How do you feel about that?
He's dead, isn't he?
Philip Schofield is apparently going into the jungle. Your thoughts?
Yeah, why not? Pretty entertaining character. Nothing against it. Shows about enjoyment, isn't it? So
apparently he wasn't supposed to be going, but they've fast-tracked him in.
Yeah, fair play.
Apparently they're sending Matt Hancock's ex-wife into the jungle.
That would be wonderful, wouldn't it? But like,
would you watch it?
I'd watch it if his ex-wife came in. Yeah, absolutely.
What would you hope to see?
Argument and strife. Actually, I don't think it'd be particularly funny for their kids, would it?
Apparently they're going to put 5 Albanian immigrants in there.
Are they? Well, that seems...
5 Albanians into the camp.
Yeah.
Thought?
If they find someone who wants to do it, then why not?
Apparently, seriously, they're going to send someone who's had plastic surgery done to look just like the Queen.
Really?
Yeah, well, there we go. That was as tasteless as it sounded. So, good grief. Right, sorry, I'm still recovering from that spider incident. Aidan, you're not the sharpest tool in the box. Would you have believed any of those?
Yeah, 1 or 2, maybe.
Do you think?
Yeah, probably.
I actually
Honestly,
really... I'm not being funny, but, Greg, if it was the 90s, they would have sent Matt Hancock's ex-wife in.
Oh, yeah. Well, to be honest, I wouldn't disbelieve that happening.
Yeah.
Now that Matt Hancock's in...
It wasn't around the 90s.
No, but what I'm saying is 90s telly, right?
Yeah,
90s telly, anything went. And I loved it. I missed it.
My brother worked at an insurance company near where they filmed The Word. Do you remember a programme called The Word?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So they used to email his office every day. Not, it wouldn't have been email back then, but whatever. They used to get in contact with the office, and it was a lot of guys in there who were in their 20s and 30s. They say, come and participate in a show. One of them was snogging a 77-year-old woman.
Really?
Yeah, he did it as well.
He did it as well. Yeah, was that Terry Christian?
Yes, it was Terry Christian and...
No, it's interesting because those spiders I handle, they come from South America. I've heard Terry Christian quite enjoys South America as well. Let's go to one of the highlights of the show. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a fan favourite. It's Dog of the Week. Yes, and tonight we are hoping to find a forever home for the lovely Cora. Oh, Cora is 2 years old. Look at her. Is 2 years old and she's a lurcher. She's with Stray Aid in County Durham. and they say that she can't live with dogs, cats or children, but, you know, she could live with you, really, which is the main point of this. To find out a little bit more about the wonderful Cora, I'm joined now by Lee Henderson at Stray Aid. Lee, thank you very much. Tell us a bit about the lovely Cora.
She's absolutely adorable. She's next to us now. We've had her since April. Why people haven't come along to meet her, I just don't know. She is very clingy, reliant, but she is a very loving, loyal dog.
No, and so did you say she was 2 years old, is that right?
2 years, 6 months.
OK, well, it's a good age, it's a good age. Can we see a little bit? You said, I don't know if we can tilt the camera down, or you could pick her up. I'm not sure what would work here, but it'd be nice to get a live-action view of Cora if we possibly can, because this is what it's all about, people. When you see Cora, Cora could be in your home, you could be taking Cora on a walk. I've got to ask you, Lee, what do you... Oh, here we go. That's fantastic. This is live TV, people.
Did Cora just drag him off?
Cora's dragging... Yes! Cora! Get in! Oh, you legend, Cora. Oh, she's born for it. Now, is Cora all right on a walk? Lurches are notoriously fast.
She's absolutely brilliant. In all fairness, I've getting that much of a bond with her, I can walk more or less to heel. All she needs is the right owner who can put the trust in, and then, like I said, they'll have the same loyal dog that I see every day.
Oh, and just tilt around a little bit so we can see that lovely face. Yes, there we go. Oh, look.
Oh, yeah.
Such a cutie. So you said that not other dogs, not cats, not kids. That's fine. That's quite normal for a rescue dog, so people shouldn't be put off by that.
I think if it was the right home, possibly other dogs, cats, definitely not. Kids, I would say, a little bit older, like I say, around the 16 mark sort of thing. But like I say, once she gets to know you, she's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Any idea at all of her previous life?
We don't know. She was brought in, obviously via one of the council wardens. We go through the process, and like I say, nobody come forward to claim her, and we've had her since April. I mean, one of my biggest wishes at the moment is to make sure she gets home for Christmas.
Give Cora a home for Christmas. I tell you what, people's hearts are going to be melting. My hearts are actually melting now. Quite food-orientated?
Yeah, she likes her food. She's helped herself to a bit of pizza with me tonight.
Oh, there she goes. Well, Lee, thank you. How can people get in touch? Because I'm sure your phone and your emails are going to be off the hook after this.
Yeah, I mean, the main thing is just to phone the main number, which is 0300 999 42 47, or get in touch via email, reception@strayed.org.uk. Just give us a bell. We're open every day, 10 till 4.
Fantastic. And look, Lee, a little word for you as well. Yes, all right, it's called Dog of the Week, but it's people like you, frankly, that I think make the world go round, because here you are on a Friday night, cradling this rescue dog, desperately trying to get it home for Christmas. You're a top lad, Lee. Well done, mate. Thank you very, very much.
Thanks a lot, mate.
Good luck to Cora as well. People have a heart. Come on.
She won't be long on the market.
Won't be long on the market. You can tell he's into properties, can't you? Won't be long on the market. Yeah, fine. A little bit of renovation.
I was known as bungalow because I didn't have a lot upstairs.
Did you just ask if a dog was food-orientated?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Have you ever known one that's turned food down?
Can I just say something that they didn't tell me? Since I've touched those tarantulas, I can't stop itching.
Yeah, no. Well, I've got another one for you here.
No.
Oh, no. Calm down. Look, it's just a memento. It's just skin.
OK.
You can have that in as a little brooch.
OK. OK. All right. Fine. Yeah, fine. Right, OK, all right. Well, I'm just going to... It's got fangs underneath it. I'm going to pop it on my phone. This is the skin of a tarantula that I had to hold before. Where are we? There it is. Yes, OK, all right, fair enough. Well,
there you go, harmless.
Look, there we
Helps
go.
It's dead.
All right, people. Well, look, thank you very much for that wonderful experience. I mean, if you did miss it earlier, I did a live challenge on air. Forget doing a loop-the-loop, forget indoor skydiving. I held a tarantula, and not only did my horrible team make me do that, they were apparently going to make me relive it, or going to do it in a little bit anyway, apparently. Yes, they're going to make me relive it. But good grief. I mean, it's getting towards that time. Can I just ask, are you a dog or a cat man?
A dog. I'm a dog, yeah.
You're a dog man? Are you a dog or a cat?
No, I don't like them ruining my things. They're too much for tie when you go on holiday and stuff, you know.
Really?
You get home.
Couldn't you put them in one of your houses?
No, I've got enough of those. They're tenants.
Oh, good grief. If you're watching and you are indeed Aidan McGee's tenant, then there you go. Well, I believe we've not got too long left now on Friday Night Feast. Thank you very much, everybody who's been getting in touch with your emails, who's been contacting us and who's been making me relive my absolute nightmare, which is arachnophobia. Has anyone got a taxi for Christie's?
Taxi for Christie's.
Yeah, good grief. I mean, it is actually shockingly light out there, isn't it? Considering that it's... what time are we on now? Just gone 10 to 9. Good grief, it's really holding up in the Paddington. I can't stop itching for those tarantulas. Anyway, it's almost time for me to go. But first, this was the week when former Cabinet Secretary Sir Gavin Williamson used his latest taxpayers' payoff to treat himself to a new hat. OK. Good job someone didn't put a pointy white one on him. That would have gone down badly. Anyway, or up him, indeed, as Aidan McGee says. Yes. Now, Ed Miliband, who famously once struggled to eat a bacon sandwich, proved to the nation that he's now struggling to use an umbrella. Oh, there we go. We've all been there, though, haven't we, Greg, to be fair? We've all been there.
Do you remember that? Mario Balotelli couldn't put his bib on?
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, it was fantastic, wasn't it?
That was absolutely
Before a Man City game, yeah.
It was indeed. And there was a scandal on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here as Matt Hancock got up to his old tricks with one of the locals.
Oh, that's Call of the Rescue Dog.
Oh, my gosh, there we go.
Wow.
Well, look, thank you very much, everybody who's been... I mean, the thing is, has anyone been watching I'm a Celebrity? Have you been watching?
Yeah, I have, yeah, a little bit.
I mean, I like the way that the various different campmates, they're all kind of, like, chiming in a little bit, and that guy Babatunde was like, you grabbed the booty, bruv. You grabbed the booty, didn't you? I mean, would you ever be seen dead on I'm a Celebrity?
I'm surprised by what's happened. I think I'm disappointed by how overly British people have... the campmates have been about it. I thought there'd be a couple of walkouts, maybe, or something like that.
But do you think... I'm not being funny, but Boy George didn't exactly have the moral high ground, does he?
No, he certainly doesn't. Well, he got up to something in 2009, wasn't it? He was convicted for a felony over in... I remember him doing his community service. He was annoyed because the cameras were on him sweeping the streets in New York, I think.
Yeah, he chained up a prostitute in his flat.
He hit him with a pipe or something?
Yeah, he did stuff like that.
Makes Challenge Christie's look like a walk in the park.
It does. Well, that's next week. That's next week. Can you imagine? Yeah, I think we'd be taking off pretty quickly after that. But he's got something... I can't help but wonder whether or not the public are going to end up growing to love Matt Hancock, because, as we've just seen with my tarantula challenge, you kind of... When you see someone going through physical and mental discomfort, you can't help but warm to them.
No, I think Matt Hancock's finished. I think by the time he gets back, he'll have done so many bush tucker trials, he's going to be 90% Matt Kangaroo Cock.
Oh, God, there he is. OK, all right. Well, look, ladies and gentlemen, if you missed it earlier on, I did do a live challenge live on air, and you can go and watch that on social media. You can go and check that out on YouTube. You can go and watch it wherever you want. And to be perfectly honest with you, I can't help but wonder, it was fantastic, and thank you very much to my producers for organising it, but it has ruined the rest of the show, because I now cannot think straight, and I think I'm going to need therapy. But I would just like to say a massive thank you to everyone who's tuned in on their wonderful Friday evening and spent it with me. I can't even talk. I'm sorry, guys. It's absolutely ruined me. It's absolutely ruined me. Please do get in touch if you've got an idea of a challenge, Christie's. Email us, patrick@gbnews.uk. Get in touch, don't be shy. As you've seen, I will do absolutely anything. I'm going to have to go now. It's a little bit early, but I just can't do this anymore. Mark Dolan tonight is coming up at 9 o'clock. I'll be back at 3 p.m. on Monday for a much more level-headed and serious news show, don't you know? Have a great weekend, everybody. Good night. Love you all. Mwah! Take care.
Good evening. I'm Alex Deakin, and this is your latest weather update from the Met Office. The weekend stays very mild. It won't be quite as windy tomorrow compared to today, and lighter winds will allow some fog to form overnight. Now, we do have this weather front. It's made for a very wet couple of days across northwest Scotland. It's now pushing to the south, and later tonight it will kind of come to a halt and then push back further north, bringing some rain through the night across southern Scotland, for a time across Cumbria too, and edging back into Northern Ireland and towards the central belt by dawn. Further south, most places dry, but it will turn misty, murky with a few fog patches. For northern Scotland, a lot drier and quite a lot colder here than last night. For most, though, it is another very mild night with temperatures staying at 9 or 10 Celsius. Into the morning, we do start pretty drab, I suspect. Mist, low clouds, some fog, patchy rain, clearing quickly from Northern Ireland and edging away from central Scotland. Staying fairly damp into the afternoon across the Highlands and the Western Isles, but the rain not as heavy as it has been over recent days. Most places then brightening up through the day. Still a bit breezy around western coast, but not as windy as today. Look at these temperatures in the sunshine, 17, 18 degrees. If it stays misty and murky over parts of northeast England, temperatures, well, may not get much above 13 or 14, but that is still pretty mild for the time of year. A mild night to come then on Saturday night. Again, we are likely to see some mist and fog patches forming, particularly over central and eastern England, and it is the time of year where that fog can take quite a long time to clear. During Sunday, some rain will trickle into westernmost parts of Northern Ireland, but otherwise it's dry, some sunny spells. Again, in the sunshine, it really will feel quite mild, but some places may just stay a little misty and murky, which will keep the temperatures in the low teens, but with some brightness, temperatures again well above average, getting into the high teens.
We are GB News.
And we'd like to say thank you
To each and every one of you.
for helping our great nation.
Find its voice.
We're absolutely everywhere.
Across England,
Scotland, Wales,
And Northern Ireland.
On TV.
On radio.
and online.
We're proud to be
The People's Channel.
Britain's
News Channel. Hello, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and you can join me every weekday 6 till 7 on